The Travises were just magnificent. I spent probably several months, 6 months, 7 months at the whole duration of time in the field. So I was not at Mawson very often. I was always
like going home, yeah.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be the leader of those particular expeditions as well. Yeah.
Were you a good leader?
Sorry?
Were you a good leader?
Well, it must have been. We achieved what we were supposed to achieve. Yeah.
So how's the routine of that then? Do you go for the, 12-hour running and then stop and have a break? Or do you just keep going?
We've all got to sleep. And we were fairly regimental in what we did. And in the blizzard, that's when you get your real break. But we'd try and run, particularly at daylight hours. Yep. And remember, at that times, we had more daylight than darkness. So we would run as much as we possibly could, and then we'd stop, and then we wouldn't start until we were all reasonably fresh and etc. We had 3 caravans, and we'd got on pretty well together, of course. They would decide themselves, they'd make their own meal, etc. Each caravan did their own cooking.
So you had a combination in there and a cooking area?
In the same one, in the RMIT caravan, those ovals. Yeah, they're pretty comfortable. And they had 3 bunks. They had a top and a bottom and a single.
Okay.
Yeah. But you never had to worry about running out of gas. You could walk outside and you could see the gas level on the bottle.
Yeah, because it's frozen.
It was a bloody great life. We towed a 7 kVA Lister genset, a little powerhouse workshop, and then we had our toilet in there too, by the way. We made a proper toilet.
Is that a burning one, or is it just...
No, just chuck out the shit after.
There's all these seagulls, all these skewers following you around, eating all this shit.
Well, not inland, so
no, I know.
didn't get that inland, but it was beautiful and warm in the paddock. Yeah, just strip off and sit on the toilet and read a bloody book. It was nice and warm.
So that would you still be moving, or would that be part of the set down stop?
At times, some of the guys, if they had to go to the bathroom, they would go into the, on the run, and hop into the powerhouse. I mean, because if you sat outside, you'd be left behind.
Yeah, literally. The pace of the whole train is only
5 or 6 kilometres.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Depending. I mean, if it was a bit hilly, then it was pretty slow going. Well, I suppose that's something that I probably should tell you, is that there's a real knack in making sure when you're traversing and you're towing your vehicles. I mentioned the fact that we had one 25mm cable running between, and each of whatever we were towing would be tied to that cable. Mm-hmm. So you were actually pulling the whole load behind you on one single cable. And I used to have mine connected to the winch, right? So I towed off the winch, right? And for 2 reasons I towed off the winch, because coming off the farm too. The higher you put your tow when you're towing, when you're ploughing or something, it pulls it back down and you've got more traction. Mm-hmm. But the winch, you'll tow more with the winch than the tractor can pull.
Doesn't seem to make sense, but yeah.
Yeah. So if the tractor can't pull uphill, you can take your tractor up the hill, off the winch, and the winch is unwinding and you're leaving your load behind, and then park your vehicle, start your winch, and it pulls it into the snow. Yeah. So you've got a bit of a bridge, and it'll just rip up the load behind you.
Yeah. It must have been powerful winches.
Yeah. Very, very powerful winches. And then to continue getting up the hill, you take off the tractor, release the winch, and up you go, unwind the winch.
And start again.
Stop again, winch up, run up, winch up, run up.
Did you get any breakages along
there? No, the winch is beautiful. Yeah.
Didn't we talk about last time that actually something did just sort of slide off and you just got to let it go down to the bottom again?
No, so that's what I was coming to. So that when the snow's soft, right, that's when you have a bit of difficulty pulling your whole load. But once the runners are in the same runner, in the same thing, it's like four-wheel driving. Yeah, it's a bit easier, right? Yeah. So at the back of the sled, we had a chain, right? A big solid chain that was dragged behind the sled. So when you're going down a fairly slippery slope, what happens is your load goes down. So your rear sled swings right round.
Yep,
And it starts
starts
to
to
go
chase
down.
up.
And the big chain that you've got goes underneath the track and acts as a brake. Yeah, so when you're going down,
Yep.
you know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you don't know it's going to happen, then you're in deep shit, you know. As your weight starts to just about to push you, and remember you're on a slack cable, you start to nose your tractor up the hill, right?
Sort of like that.
And then all of a sudden you're going up the hill, and your sleds are coming down, and then you just go backwards.
It's like a dance
Yeah.
all the way.
Go back down the hill. Yeah.
That would have been lovely to watch.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I've got a
sort of-
video of it.
See
somewhere,
that
yeah.
coming up and down
I
like
hope
that.
the hell you can find it, Phil. But
Yeah, that's the thing about the traversing. It's a caravan that travels hundreds and hundreds of miles to get to a certain
Yeah,
location.
yeah, and that's the reason for the tow line being the major thing. So when you stop, believe it or not, you've got those runners get above zero temperature and they freeze to the bloody ground. So you unhitch your tractor and you push each sled up. So you've got a slackness between each of the sled. Remember, it's a cable. So you've got slack. Excuse me. Go around, hook up again, take off, and you go boom, 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 boom as you pull off your sleds. Yeah.
When you stop for the night, do you set out anchors? Do you anchor it?
No. One day we were almost buried with one bloody blizzard. And by the time I started the tractor, I had a half a day pushing snow away before I could even get my logo. And that 3 times, of course. You've got lots of sleds. Yeah.
Because that's the thing. You think, oh, all this snow around, there's lots of water, but the snow actually fall from the sky, or is just blown off from the ground?
Both. Well, it's beautiful when it just snows, soft snow. It's really lovely to be traversing, except you can't see.
Yeah. Do you get sleety rain?
No.
Just snow.
At Casey we did, but not Mawson.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it?
Casey's a little bit higher. Jumbo was the electrician, and Jumbo, because he's a pretty big boy. Yeah.
Oh, he's a midget. Oh, Jumbo.
And one of the youngest he was too. He was great. Snoopy was a plumber, right? Jumbo was the electrician. Would you believe they spent most of their time not plumbing and electricity because they didn't have a lot to do. They were in the workshop all the time with the diesels. Oh, I mean, if we had to cart fuel or do anything, they were the first there. I'll do this, I'll do that, and brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
That's that, like as you said, that's that camaraderie, and you just want to be busy all the time.
And we never had to ask them. That's the thing,
So going back to the traverses, I think one of the projects you did was to dismantle
Mount King.
Mount King. So that was a base there, wasn't
Yes, yeah. For some years it had been that, yeah. And that was mainly for geological work. Yeah, and they had choppers go into there too.
Yeah.
And then they'd fly the boffins out from Mount King around to the various different areas that were of interest from a geological point of view. I'm not sure what I told you, but during a whiteout, one of the helicopters, they were Phil knows the name.
Hughes 500.
Yeah, they were, yeah. One of the helicopters was landing and he thought that the surface was there and he dropped about 100 metres.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And the blades hit the deck and tore all the, made a hell of a mess. And
It would be an inexperienced Antarctic chopper pilot to do that.
Yeah. And it was a whiteout though, so you've got to give the man some sort of credit,
Yeah.
And he probably should have had someone there so he could see the
Stick
person.
out the window and put a stick
That's
there.
what you do. You have someone on the ground.
Yeah.
Directing.
And there's a photo in there somewhere where another one of the choppers picked up the chopper and took it back to Mawson, and that went back to Australia. And we had a Porta Polaris too. That was magic.
That's a very important airplane.
Oh, but that bloody thing could, within 100 metres, you're in the air.
Well, we used to live in New Guinea, and at the airstrip, we'd be there's a road that goes past the end of the airstrip, and you see these things literally just come in like this.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there, how can that keep flying?
Well, I flew the Porta Polaris. I mean, with the pilot, by the way.
Well, this is Antarctica. You probably could get away with a bit of.
And he said, "You want to fly it?" And I went, "Oh yeah,
absolutely."
So he took off, and as soon as he was only in the air a bit. And he said, "No, you take over." But I had a little bit of trouble in I kept creeping up all the time,
Yeah.
I don't have to come down again, then I go up again, I go down again. And he said, oh, that takes a little bit of practice, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get into Mawson, and I said, can I land? And he said, oh, well, you can have a bit of a go, he said. And remember, he's got a set of sticks. So I'm coming into land. He said, no, you've got to go quick. And then he took over. But so I half landed.
Yeah.
You'd never do that now, by the way, would you?
You know, in an emergency situation, to have that bit of experience, you know, with the pilot, just, you know, giving people little lessons and stuff like that, it's a great backup for things like that.
We took a dog team in the Port of Polaris out to Mount King.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the dogs are sitting here, what the hell is this?
Give us that story.
They love their air flight.
Give us that story about taking the dogs out to Mount King.
Yeah, and that was for the Travis's, for the geological work and the scientific work that was being done. Some people thought it was better on the ground. So Sid, being a real dog man, that was the OIC, Sid Kirkby, decided, well, why don't we bundle up the dogs and take the dogs in the Port of Polaris out to bloody Mount King and do that, right? So, and I wasn't there long enough because we were delivering fuel and stuff, and then we went back to Mawson again, and then we went back to Mount King to dismantle Mount King and bring it back. Yeah.
So how do you get, is it 5 or 7, 6 dogs in one team?
9.
9 in the back of a...
Oh, they squeezed them in, yeah.
But what are the dogs?
But the pilot turned around and he turned and said, that's the stinkiest trip I've ever had when he got to bloody Mount King. Yeah.
So going to Mount King on a Pilatus Porter, is that a one-hop job?
Yeah,
or is it so? Because the helicopters would have to make a couple of...
No, helicopters had enough fuel to get there.
Did they? Okay, because I know they put these fuel dumps. I saw some of the pictures putting fuel dumps along the way.
Yeah. Well, no, that's always the case, even for the traversing. If you've got a hell of a load, I mean, you're chewing a lot of fuel up, right?
Absolutely.
So you take your fuel out for the choppers, but then you drop fuel off for your way home as well.
But there's quite a setup, isn't it? You have a pole...
A Rangoon cane with a black and yellow flag on it. Yeah.
So if you get lost, you sort of try and head for something like that.
Yeah, and well, we used to drive the D4s mainly by standing up on the seat and through the hatch, and we'd steer them with their legs, you know.
I thought you just set it and just go, you know, had a bearing.
Yeah, but they tend to wander to the left or to the right, depending on the terrain, you know, a little bit, yeah. And you'd be out there with your binoculars looking for the next flag, you know, and that saved a lot of navigation too.
Yeah.
You can't, but I want him to ask it. Did you ever do a dog trip to Auster?
Yes.
Phil, you just walked into your camera.
No. Okay, ask him about a dog trip to Auster.
Well, you just did.
No, you ask.
Phil wants me to ask you
No.
about, did you do a dog trip to Auster?
2.
The Rookeries. Auster Rookery, isn't it? It's a rookery.
Yeah, 2.
It's the smelliest place on the planet.
Yeah. So the first one, I'm sure I told you, the first one was a bit of a disaster. I had the radio operator and the foreman carpenter with me, and I had Rusty, a Deezer. We had 2 teams, and we're heading to Auster Rookery on the sea ice, a day out of Mawson, I suppose, I don't know, and then this blizzard hit us. And I mean, it was one fantastic blizzard, and we were on the friggin' sea ice, right? And the poor old dogs could not pull into the wind to try and we could see a little island, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that island was only a few hundred metres away from us, and the dogs couldn't get there. Yeah, they're slipping, you know. I had my crampons on, and I had my 2 ice picks, and I clipped my lead dog, and my mate did too, onto my back, right? And I'm crawling on my knees sort of thing with the ice picks, pulling the 9 dogs, and we had more than a half an hour to do that little bit of distance to get there. You know, I was exhausted by the time I got there, and so was Rusty. So we get there, and the island wasn't very big island, and we pitched our polar pyramid tent on the leeward side of the island, and we pitched our dogs out, and there was so much drift that we had to go out and pull the dogs up because they were just covered in snow. They just bind in. You have to lift them up on top again, otherwise they suffocate.
Yeah, but I thought that's what they did anyway. They just stick their noses up themselves.
We had to literally pull them up. It lasted, I don't know, 12 plus hours.
Yeah, it's extreme, isn't it?
Yeah. And I went out and collected some ice, some snow rather, and melted it, and it was a bit salty. And I find a bit more snow that's more drinkable. And then I said to Rusty, I said, have a look at this, Rusty. And he came out and I said, look, all the sea ice is broken up from the island. I'm sure I told you.
Yes, you did. You told
us that one.
You had to rescue all the dogs as well.
Did anything interesting happen on the second trip?
Oh.
No. It was only Rusty and I, and we only took one dog team. And we went and we stayed in that little caravan, right?
On Macy Island?
Yeah, on Macy Island, yeah. And we counted the birds as best we could count, etc., etc. And went back and we had a wonderful time. There's just the two of us, one bloody team, you know.
So what they sent you off to count penguins, Dizos, you know. What
they can scarcely count anyway.
Well, I mean, you got what are they supposed to get boffins to come and do that? Because we were talking to Lynn, and Lynn's boss invented a weigh bridge for them. So they sort of funneled the penguins in, they weighed them and counted them at the same time.
Oh no, we didn't do any of that. We only had to really count the penguins.
How many were there? And
hundreds.
Where did you stay when you were counting the penguins in location to them? Because, you know, they smell like anything you wouldn't believe. Would they?
Well, I don't, you get used to the smell. I mean, we smelled like dogs.
Yeah, well. What do the dogs do when they sit? Do they sit quite relaxed?
No, they love penguins. But an emperor penguin with their flipper, I mean, they'd break your arm.
Yeah, because they're big birds, aren't they?
Well, they stand a metre high. You know, 48 bloody kilos or something. I mean, they're big boys and strong. I mean, they're flippers. You can't hold them.
So what do you do with the paperwork when you get back? Do they sort of look at it and go, you counted 57 penguins? Wow, that was a good job.
We just give it to the appropriate personnel who would document it.
Yeah. Because penguin populations are very important indicators to the health of the...
Auster's the biggest emperor penguin rookery in the southern hemisphere. Pretty right in saying that, aren't I? Yeah.
I think so.
All right, let's just move back to the fact that you guys marooned there for an extra 9 months. How does that work?
No, not 9 months.
Well,
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
Well, you said 19 months. So,
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, 7 months then.
Yeah.
So that would be the first boat out on the next day.
A lot of the guys, though, I mean, I don't know about you, Phil, but a lot of the guys will be 13 or 14 months. So it's not that much extra, you know. It's only
but it's unusual.
You were there for 2 winters.
2 winters.
Yeah. That is unusual.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Asking him.
For the Australians, it's a really unusual situation because people don't stay there for longer than a year. Yeah. Even though, I suppose, by the time you've been there for over a year, quite enjoying the
I'm
process.
pretty sure a couple of guys had 2 lots there and didn't come home. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of guys that have done that. Yeah. I'm pretty certain of it. Yeah.
Well, Phil was saying the Russians do it all the time. That's quite a normal thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, what was the question again?
How did that happen?
How did that happen? Yeah.
We weren't back when the ship was ready to. But there was some other reason that, and I'll try and find out for you, and I'll let Phil know.
So that was coming back from Mount King, was it? After you dismantled it?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was Mount King or from Prince Charles Mountains.
Okay.
So how does that make you feel? You get back and the ship's gone.
Oh, we knew anyway.
I know, but you know, you sort of feel like a bit of, you know, you've been longing to go home.
I was ready to stay the year. That was the mentality I had. You know, I didn't care. I mean, I wanted to get home to my family.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's life.
For some people, you know, that would be a real a heartbreaker because they're wanting to go and for some reason, like, if you miss it, that's it. Yeah. They're not coming back.
I mean, you can almost get out any time now.
Well, there's a nice runway up Casey.
Well, they fly.
But from Mawson, you wouldn't be able to get to Casey.
No, there's a up at Guam. You can fly, put a plane in there.
Guam. Yeah, we better explain Guam.
Yeah, well, that's their doodle.
Well, halfway there.
Yeah. There's a Russian plane upside down there at Guam. Oh, where that something happened to that, I can't remember.
I know what happened. I got that in another podcast.
Have you? Yeah.
Didn't they just fly low, drop the vodka and then crash?
I'm not sure.
So that's an airstrip, is that what you were saying? That's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not like Casey airstrip. They're all Davis.
Guam is a air station.
Well, that's what they used as a airstrip. Yeah.
Right, for Mawson.
Yeah.
Right, and you could fly off from there to Casey and Davies.
Well, that's where the Port of Polaris used to come into.
Yeah. Midwinter solstice for you guys. What did you guys do?
Oh, we had our midwinter pig on the boxed in with its apple in the mouth and etc.
Did they just stick that in the freezer for that sort of feast?
Yeah. There's a magic photo of that. I'm pretty sure you got it already, of the pig for midwinter dinner, and we all dressed up in our ties and jackets and everything else. And I think there was an expectation you took your jacket down. Yeah.
And did you have the race?
The race,
There's the midwinter race.
which
There's one of the podcasts we've done is there's a midwinter race, which is the dog teams plus sailing ship, the boats, and anything else that moves.
well, we had our yacht races.
Yeah.
We had our yacht races.
But that was sort of regular thing.
Yeah, but I mean, we had the. I told you the one at Casey down the corridor.
Yeah, boss. That's blended in my mind. So, did you do the panto then?
Yes, we did.
And who were you in the panto?
Who was I? Oh, gee,
One of the ugly sisters?
yeah. Well, I was dressed up as such.
There's some great photos of people dressed up.
And there's some good. Phil's got the photos there.
All right. On that note, a great image in my mind of men dancing around pretending to be women.
Best years of my life.
Best year, yes, best years. That's right. What was one thing you really learned about yourself, just as a
How to manage people.
yeah?
Yeah.
And that's not using brute strength as
No.
Brutus. That's guile and
Yeah.
cajoling, and I suppose teaching people that you can make a difference,
Yeah,
change things.
and ensuring that the people understand that whatever you achieve, it's because of you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
team.
important.
Yeah, it's a team thing, and it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not the winner here. We're all the
Yeah.
winners.
And the ability to know in your own mind the direction you want to go
Mm.
and how you want to achieve it, but how do you get across that to somebody else so that they think it's their view?
And it inspires them too,
That's right.
because they think I've done it.
Well, I've thought of this idea, and it's exactly what you want.
All right. On that note, 'cause,
And encourage people, and give people feedback, both negative and positive, is what it taught me.
and also dealing with an extraordinarily interesting and exciting environment to live in.
What I think nowadays is that we as individuals, and particularly in management type positions, we never take the time out to understand ourselves, and in particular, we don't take the time out to understand the individual that's working for you, because we're all different,
Yeah.
and we all have different needs, and you have to try and find those, what works for that particular person, so that you can support the weakness and the strengths, etc.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a real art.
Yeah. So Phil is shuffling, and he's stressing now that he's going to run out of power, going to run out of battery, he's going to run out of space. All right. So on that note, we will call it. And thank you so much for the great insights into Casey, the first one, and Mawson, the second one.
You're welcome.
And love the innovations that you guys did. Love the crazy stuff you guys did. And
Well, there's many more stuff.
oh, I know. We could come back again. But on that note, we'll call it. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely. Now you've got to do the introduction.
Oh, that was good.